for you to pay a tiny little bit more for your gasoline. Pay a little bit more, you're at $4. It's okay. I mean, I'll never apologize. I did the right thing.
So MK, how does the White House manage this dual message of like, these bad guys can't have a nuclear weapon, but for now it is going to cost you a little bit more? Writing about this, saying it's not just that U.S. voters dislike the war. 2/3 of them tell Reuters Ipsos it should end. They're also losing confidence in Republicans' ability to manage the economy. And these two are related. Trump's war is increasing costs at a time when voters say they want them lowered. So Peggy Noonan writes an opinion piece over the Wall Street Journal, taking all of this stuff in, saying this: Mr. Trump supporters have always enjoyed his air of certainty. Nothing is that complicated. His common sense will rout the deep state swamp creatures. Now he looks as if he doesn't know what his next move is. He's uncertain.
Trump's on one. He went after a host on his favorite network after she didn't coddle him to his liking. Fox host Shannon Bream was caught in the president's scope after she dared to do something intolerable, which is show his poll numbers. And get this, she then went on and asked Trump's own attorney general a difficult question. Doesn't she know that her job is to simply get on camera and inflate Trump's ego?
And you feel like you'll be able to tell him no if your legal analysis disagrees with where he wants you to go?
I think he would expect me to tell him no. It's not whether I feel like I could. I think that the president, there's a misnomer about President Trump, which is that he calls me up, wakes up in the morning, calls me up and says, you know, Todd, go prosecute this. That's absolutely not the case. President Trump,
You have to pay a little bit more. You're at $4. It's okay. I mean, I'll never apologize. I did the right thing.
Yeah, it appears this was a bridge too far for the man facing an affordability crisis, while the war that he said would be over in a matter of weeks stretches into what, it's 6 months. He just had to go on a 340-word Truth Social tirade comparing Bream's show to, quote, the worst of fake news, CNN. He complained that she always seems to pick guests, charts, and polls that are negative. He called her show beyond redemption. He said it was, quote, so biased against MAGA, Trump, and Republicans that it is ridiculous. And he specifically demanded that Shannon Bream, Bret Baier, and others at Fox, quote, stop showing fake polls. That's right, stop showing the polls. That might be the most revealing part of the entire meltdown, right? Trump's not arguing, well, here's a better poll, maybe you could weigh up the coverage, or he's not explaining why the methodology is flawed. He's just demanding that they stop showing them. They're showing their own polls most of the time, by the way. The polls that Fox are conducting within their own network are increasingly terrible for Donald Trump. Their national survey back in July found that 39% approve of Donald Trump's performance, while 61% disapprove. These are Fox viewers, by the way.
He's right. The challenge for him and for the president is the most obvious way to make people's lives better right now, according to voters themselves, is to bring cost of living down in this country, something that they're not really managing to do yet.
Right. Well, and as I said in my column yesterday in the Wall Street Journal, you start by not gaslighting. The president made a mistake, in my opinion, last week, saying we've got the greatest economy in the history of the world, and prices for groceries and gasoline and everything are coming down rapidly. That's not the experience of the American people.
And on the generic congressional ballot, Democrats led Republicans 53% to 46%. 53%, by the way, was the highest support Fox had recorded for either party on its generic House ballot since the network began asking the question back in 1996. And Trump's response is not, well, we need to win those voters back, or we can understand the concern. Of course, he would never do that. It's all about, why are you showing people this news? Why are you even telling them that things are going so bad? I mean, we all know that Trump doesn't view Fox News simply as a television network. I mean, let's be honest. It's not a news network. We know that. But he thinks it should act as essentially another branch of his cabinet, a communications department designated to good news. Except there's not a lot of it out there, so they're forced to report on the news, and Trump's not happy about it.
America's cost to borrow is exploding. The U.S. is facing its highest 30-year borrowing costs in a quarter century as the interest tab on the national debt keeps climbing.
He complained that it would be nice if Bream and other Fox personalities would, quote, put up a little fight. He's talking about a news network, and they're supposed to go to bat for him. I mean, let's be honest, the network is usually cooperative to the president's demands. But here they are committing the unforgivable offense of reporting what is actually happening. And nowhere is that more obvious than Trump's increasingly unpopular war with Iran, right? Just days before Trump's attack on Bream, Brett Baier publicly dismantled one of Trump's biggest boasts about the war, that the United States, quote, totally control the Strait of Hormuz. The host showed viewers the actual shipping situation, which was far from the case.
How much? Total oil flow averages nearly 21 million barrels per day in the first half of last year, equivalent to about 20% of global petroleum liquids consumption. Usually about 1/5 of the world's liquefied natural gas trade moves through there as well. Despite President Trump claiming total control over the strait, traffic has slowed really to a trickle. If you look at this, before the conflict, more than 100 vessels a day were crossing. Monday, 8 vessels crossed. Yesterday, 14. Now, those are constraints, and that's changing the government's energy outlook. The Energy Information Administration raised its forecast for the average price of a gallon of gasoline over the full year by 14 cents. You can see right here. It also raised its 2026 forecast for Brent crude from $82 a barrel to $87 a barrel. And there's another problem building as well. The International Energy Agency says global crude oil inventories fell by 2.2 million barrels a day in July. It expects a global supply deficit of 1.8 million barrels a day in the third quarter. That's more than double its previous estimate. Now, let's move west.
Before then tearing apart Trump's energy secretary over past promises that energy prices would fall.
And that's nudging up the price of refined products as well.
Let me take you back to November 2025. I asked you about prices overall on energy. Take a listen. Will people feel a different energy cost into the new year, quarter one, quarter two, do you think?
I think you'll soon see a stop in the rise of electricity prices. We're going to achieve that, I think, hopefully in the first half of 2026, the stop of the rises. But during the Trump administration, you will see a downward trend before the administration's over.
So energy inflation, according to the CPI, energy 14.7% up. Gasoline, and obviously we talked before the Iran conflicts had started. And that's largely gasoline and fuel, but electricity and energy overall is up significantly.
And look, as you can see in that electricity price number, that's just a hair over the rate of inflation. Of course, electricity is a battleship. All of the new capacity that's coming online right now was permitted during the Biden administration. And they essentially only permitted wind and solar that are mostly forces to drive up electricity prices. But we have all sorts of massive amounts of new natural gas generation capacity online. We have uprates on nuclear power plants. We have restarts of nuclear power plants. All of the things that need to happen to stop the rise of electricity prices, they're underway. And you've seen announcements across many states of multi-year freezes on electricity prices, a few even announced declines. So absolutely, things are going in the right direction. A ton of communities have already seen the end of electricity price rises, and we want to bring that across the whole country, and we will.
Trump obviously has watched this. It's his favorite network for a reason. He tunes in, but he's just not happy. So he wants both hosts to just stop doing their job. And this is what happens when the president watches television, not to learn what is happening or see what the response is, but he wants to know whether they agree with him. And apparently Fox is no longer agreeing enough. And that should absolutely make the president nervous, because if Fox News can't help control his narrative ahead of the midterms, you know he's in deep, deep trouble. And by the way, let's not get it twisted. A few outliers doesn't negate the almost irreparable damage that Fox News has done to this country. The Washington Post actually reported that Fox coverage had become deeply intertwined with Trump's Iran decision-making and messaging regarding the war. It often cites supportive commentators praising the strikes and amplifying Trump's claims of success. I mean, the man in charge of the military is a former Fox host, so it shouldn't surprise anyone. But now, after 6 months into this war, Fox are struggling to pretend that those consequences did not exist.
I'm sure Trump will post in a few minutes what we're supposed to do to get that market manipulation all geared up for another day. So I guess I'll follow whatever he and his kids and Jared Kushner are investing in. That fancy footwork that Jesse just did about an environmental toll being okay because it lets the Iranians save face is insane. That's basically just saying Iran will continue to control the Strait of Hormuz in perpetuity. And maybe we should have thought about that before we started this thing. If it was part of the wargaming, which everyone from the defense secretary to General Kane has said that it was, how did you not expect this to happen? It's like you gave them the best toy ever and you think they're just going to give it back to you. That is not how toddlers behave. And Jesse should know that.
Because I'm a father, not a toddler.
Exactly.
However you want to slice it, you are that.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.